You excited? Are you excited? It's Friday night. It's Friday night, monkey. We're doing it. Woo! Hey, everybody. Welcome to Houston. We have a problem. It's Friday night. It's late. We're here. We're rocking. And I got nothing to really talk about off the bat. I mean, it seems to be like we're in this like return to normalcy type bull market that just doesn't make any sense. I mean, like car company sales are down, homes aren't being sold. It turns out that Meta, Facebook, Facebook Meta, they're doing their $40 billion stock buyback, and they have $40.75 billion of cash on hand. It's basically taking all the cash they have and doing a stock buyback rather than change their business plan and abandon this whole like workplace simulator. Let's pretend like I'm going to work. No one wants to do that. No one wants to do that, Mark. They're trying desperately to stay home, not put on a headset and pretend like they're back at the office. No one's going to play your stupid little workplace game. Your company's going to die. So address your moneymakers that you are obviously ignoring. Anyway, so that's where we are. We're just in like upside down land. Being upside down, and Chinese balloons floating over America with solar panels attached to them, going clickety click 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 click. Whatever. Satellites exist. Who cares? Boom. Oh, I'm a special dog. Okay. Yes, you are your special little dog. Yeah. Okay. Turn you off. Remember to turn you off. Turn you off. Turn you off. Okay. So what's on your minds? BTW brand is tired, and Urban Islander is happy that it's at 8 o'clock Hawaiian time, and Tony Tran is frozen. It's -19 upstate New York. Send help. Help is on the way, and that spring is 6 weeks from now. Jason Blackwell, Houston. Oh, I'm afraid that German sausages are coming to attack me. Maybe I'm just fearing the worst. My friend Bobby used to own a restaurant called The Worst Place, and they sold 100 different kind of worsts. It was delicious. But then they bulldozed his building and built a Amazon tower on top of it. BW Brand just saw Houston's tweet from 7 hours ago about getting a nap. See? I told you ahead of time. Okay. William is a stand-up man. Hats off to him. He is. Yes. All right. BTW Brand been foretold since January 11th that the coldest air temperature ever recorded in 2 decades was splitting in two and coming to America. Why are you surprised? Well, it's happened. Here, it's just piss and rain and 40 degrees. Typical February so far. It's adding lots of snow to the mountains. I'm going to try, since I didn't get to do my Whistler trip, I'm going to try and do a week in, sorry, I didn't get to do my Switzerland trip. I'm going to try to do a week at Whistler in March. So as long as the snow just keeps piling up, I'm going to be a happy camper. Grape nuts. Does the time that goes by matter meaningfully on whether MMTLP can resume 2 more days of trading down the line? I mean, this is the argument that Rosa was making in her lawsuit, was that time is of the essence. It's imperative that we get those 2 days back before any other moves get made. And I think she argued it well, and I think the judge just didn't do his job. The judge was like, I don't want to deal with this. And I think it's going to bite him in the butt. Because I think very likely if it goes in front of, if she has to appeal and it goes in front of a panel at the appellate court's going to be like, hey, judge, do your job. And no judge wants to have that come back down on them. So hopefully he's shaping up and actually reading the documents and the evidence and going, oh, wait a minute, FINRA did a bad thing. Maybe, just maybe, we should allow them to get sued. And that's what we're hoping for. BTW Brand says 95% chance it trades again, in my opinion. It'll be fine. Reserving the 5% for a government payout, the length of time it takes does nothing to invalidate the mistake that was made. It's true. The mistake was made. They're hoping that time just fades everything out and we no longer think about it. But we're 2 months in and the anger is still very palpable. So we haven't stopped being annoying as hell. I mean, we'll do this for a decade. And they'll be like, oh my God, would you just trade the stupid stocks? I don't have to deal with these people anymore. Every single person who works at a phone bank, at a broker, FINRA, SEC, all of them want us to go away. There's only one thing that'll make us go away. Trade. 2 more days of trading, close those positions, and we're gone, right? Those who want to keep it, keep it. Those who want to sell are able to sell, and we're out, right? Okay. Okay. Sorry, everyone's having their nice little pre-game conversations here. Ron Johnson, why or how is the moon relatively smooth facing Earth and opposite side so crater-ridden? Portions of the moon hollow? Moon is not hollow. The moon just isn't very dense. But the Earth blocks many of the objects that will be hitting the near side of the moon. They end up hitting the Earth instead. Whereas the far side of the moon, the dark side, has no Earth blocking it, so it gets bombarded a lot more often. And that's why the far side of the moon is more cratered. Because anything that's going to come by and hit that near side of the moon is going to get caught in the Earth's gravitational well and hit us instead. So that's why. But so how the moon got made was you had proto-Earth, you had goo ball Earth. It was just like a molten ball because it's getting bombarded all the time. And a Mars-sized object came along and smashed into it, exploding out a whole bunch of goo. And that goo then consolidated, made the moon, and the Earth reformed around that new protoplanet and what Earth was there. Thing is, it was the surface material, the lighter material. Because remember, differentiation happens where all the heavy material sinks into the core, and all the light material floats out towards the edges. So what splattered off into space from getting hit by that protoplanet was all the light crustal material, and then that's what made the moon. So the moon is a really, really tiny iron core by comparison. And if you look at the density of the moon is about the same as the density of the crust of the Earth. It's like 4.5 grams per cubic centimeter, which is basically the crust of the Earth. Whereas the core of the Earth is like 15, 16 grams per cubic centimeter. Incredibly dense. And that's how we got the moon. Big old splatter. Most moons were formed with the planet or were captured. Whereas our moon is kind of different in that we got splattered out into space to make our moon. And it leads to many questions. Like a lot of astrobiologists wonder, can you get land animals without a moon? Meaning, if you don't have the moon creating tides, making these tidal zones and estuaries where sometimes you're exposed to the atmosphere and sometimes you're covered with water, like, is there an evolutionary driver for things then to come out of the water? Not necessarily. So we do wonder, like, we see these planets that are in Goldilocks zones, they may have really incredible oceanic life, but may not have much at all in the way of life outside of their oceans on the lands. There may be some plants and things, but there isn't like a trigger that would make creatures come out of the water and be like, oh my gosh, look at all this food that's there. Because if they're not, if they're gilled creatures, there's no evolutionary driver happening every 6 hours to make you all of a sudden have to like hold your breath for 6 hours or figure out a way to breathe that oxygen. So that's something to think about if you're an astrobiologist. All right. And there's William Morgan giving the exact answer. The opposite side took more impacts than the side protected by the Earth. There you go. Yeah, it's kind of like how herky jerking over there. What's going on? What's that sound? All right. It's kind of like how like when we're protected by the Earth's atmosphere, we don't get much bombardment from cosmic rays and stuff. If you're up on the ISS and you're floating around the Earth for 100 days or whatever it is your stay might be, you get a whole bunch of cosmic rays because you're outside the magnetosphere, you're outside of the atmosphere of the Earth protecting you from these objects, and you get bombarded with like 10 X-rays worth of radiation a day. But the side that's facing the Earth is blocked. The Earth blocks all that stuff. Whereas if you're going to Mars and you're no longer protected by the Earth and you're no longer protected by an atmosphere, you get twice as many galactic cosmic rays hitting you as you would in the ISS. So you get like 20 X-rays a day in radiation. So the Earth can block things quite well. Great. Houston, can you give us your opinion about Russia's inability to repair its pipeline and the consequences of China's low birth rate problem? Oh, boy. Okay. So, for one, Russia doesn't have the industry to do anything with their oil fields. They've had to contract with Western companies to do all the work. So, the pipelines are built by Western companies. Their oil wells are drilled by Western companies. Their rigs, their wells are all built by Western companies. They don't have the industry to handle pretty much anything. Even when it was the Soviet Union, most of the industrialization was in like Ukraine. That's where their jets and their ships and their tanks and rockets, all that stuff was manufactured in Ukraine. Russia doesn't really have a very good manufacturing base, and much of their manufacturing base was destroyed since the fall of the wall, largely because when you are a nation run by gangsters, you can't, how do I put this? You can't have nerds, right? Like, gangsters are really good at take resource, sell resource. They're not very good at take resource, turn into an engineered product that is, works for mining, drilling, trains, whatever. Like, those nerds are really smart. And if one of those nerds who's really smart can then move up the ladder inside an organization full of a bunch of meathead mafia types, it threatens those meathead mafia types. So they would rather crush all of the industry to make sure there are no nerds that can take over their power. And that's kind of what happens. When you get like cartels and mafias and gangs, they're really good at like primal resources. So you might have like a cartel in Mexico that's really good at smuggling humans, smuggling drugs, growing drugs, things like that. And when they move into other realms, they're not moving into like, the Cadillac factory in Mexico. That's complicated. That takes nerds and engineers. Instead, they're going to strong arm the avocado farmers, right? Because avocado farmers, everyone can understand water, avocado, grow, tree, pick. That's easy. That's just resource distraction at that point. So the cartels in Eurasian mafia, they move really well when it comes to just like really simple business plans. But when it's something complex, it takes multiple orders of magnitude, they destroy it. They have no patience for it. They don't like the nerds. They just destroy it rather than having them as a threat. So Russia's never going to be able to repair the pipeline without the West actually doing it for them. They just don't have the ability to do it. Even the Kerch Bridge that goes between Ukraine and Russia, the big one that got bombed a couple months ago, that was built by the Dutch. It was not built by the Russians. They had like nothing to do with it. The Dutch built it. So, oh, sorry, the cat wants to come in. Come on, dude. There you are. Yeah, get in here. There we go. Yeah, it's your kitty buddy. He's gonna take your spot. Cat's jumping up there. It's gonna take your spot in like 2 minutes. Yeah. Where were we? What was the next one? It was something about China. Where was it? Oh, consequences of China's low birth rate problem. Okay, so for a long time, China was trying to slow its birth rate with the one-child policy, and that didn't work. It was still growing like crazy. They removed the one-child policy, and now no one wants to have babies. One of the problems was that during one-child policy, if someone gave birth to a girl, they would drown it. They would abort it. They would get rid of it. So there was this huge disparity between how many men and how many women there were in certain age demographics, which then all of a sudden made women really valuable, right? They could demand huge dowries. You could be a homely lady, and you could, because of the rarity of women in certain demographics, you could then require giant dowries that no one could afford, and you're getting this huge generation of basically sexually dissatisfied men who have no hope of finding a date, and just a society of incels basically. And cat butthole. So China's population is shrinking, and it's shrinking really fast. So next 30 years, the population could drop by like 600 million because it's a very old population. So they could lose 600 million people in the next 30 years, and they don't have anything coming back it up, which means looking at 2/3 of the population now. So if you thought the real estate crisis in China was bad now, imagine when 1/3 of all the homes are empty, 1/3 of all the businesses are empty. How hard is it to muster 600,000 workers for a Foxconn factory if, monkey, don't be a dick. If you lose all those people. So China's going to have to figure out, sort of like what Japan's trying to figure out. You've got this incredibly aging population, no one to fill the void because, quite frankly, you aren't that open to immigration. How do you take care of the old people? How do you fulfill those jobs? How do you do it? Japan is still quite like, don't come here, and they have not learned that you need immigrants. You got to take them from where there's too many people, put them where there aren't very many people. But that's life, man. That's just the way it is. People on Earth need to spread out. And, the birth rate in the U.S. is very low. The birth rate in Italy is low. The birth rate in Germany is low. The birth rate in Australia is low. But these are societies that do a much better job taking in immigrants to fulfill those roles so that their populations still either stay the same or grow. The U.S. for some reason loves to be completely xenophobic, but like, we need people. It's obvious we need people. So come on down, man, as far as I'm concerned. BTW Brandon, anyone look at the green comet? Math says it's never coming back close enough to show up again. Yeah, apparently it was last year, about 50,000 years ago. The way they talk about it is that we won't see a green comet for another 50,000 years. We may have seen green comets before. We just didn't record them because there was no way to write it down. But it's pretty cool. I mean, it has to do with the type of carbon gas. What kind of, it's I forgot the name of the carbon gas that's coming off of it. cyanogen, carbon and cyanogen. So it's a mixture of those two things. And cyanogen is oxygen, and it is cyanogen is. Oh no, sorry, it's carbon nitrogen 2. So it's a carbon nitrogen atom and a carbon nitrogen atom making a molecule. That's cyanogen. So that's what's making it blue. Whoops, that's not where I meant to go. Where am I? Where am I, everybody? William Morgan, the green comet, took one look at humanity and isn't coming back. MMTLP'd my shorts. Hey, Houston, what did the pegmatite say to the basalt? Pardon my intrusion. We are in the Jason Blackwell geology jokes now. Thoughts on fluorescent minerals, rocks? How wide do they form? Are there rare types? I mean, there are several. So like diamonds fluoresce under UV light and under X-ray. Not all the time under UV light, but quite often under UV light. So one of the things, we go out in the Rockies, we're looking for diamonds. We might take a hike at night with UV lights and just flash them on the ground and see what we find. There's that one cool rock in Lake Superior. It's only discovered maybe 10 years ago. Fluorescent rocks. What are these things called? Uperlite up on the upper peninsula. Upper Peninsula. Turn you off. Double click you. Turn you on there. Down Uperite. So you can go along the beaches in the Upper Peninsula, and you can look for these things with black lights, and they do these crazy little glowing bits. They're pretty nifty, right? Pretty cool looking rock. So when were these found? These were found pretty recently. Someone was out there with a black light like 10 years ago, and 2017. So not even that. So just 5 years ago, Uperites were discovered. It's a cyanite rock, similar to granite. It looks like any other stone, typically gray rock, but it fluoresces. Fluorescent sodalite. Okay. So, but yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool. There's one. Like, imagine walking along a beach, shining a light, just see all of a sudden it's nifty. It's neat. That's pretty cool. But there are a few different ones out there that will fluoresce. Diamonds are probably the most popular one. Let's see if we can get a list. So most common fluorescent minerals include calcite, fluorite, and sodalite. Okay, so sodalite is the ones in those rocks. Many gemstones such as diamond, ruby, emerald, amber, and opal will also fluoresce when exposed to UV light. I've never seen opal fluoresce. My UV lights might be in the truck. I'll get a UV light and I'll see if I got anything that might fluoresce in my possession. I gave away most of my cool rocks though. I'll find something. We'll play with that at some point. Why they form? Well, I'm not sure. Calcite forms with lots of calcium and sodium and carbon. Fluorite is, fluoride and fluorine make that. Sodalite is carbon and let's make sodalite. Sodalite. I can't remember. Go back to my sodalite is all right. Calcium, oxygen, silica, aluminum. All right. No carbon in there? Weird. I totally misremembered my rocks. Okay. How do you form? Relatively hard yet feldsparred. Blue color, so let me bright yellow, green. Acamanite occurrence. Census history. No. Rarely contains pyrite. Cracks a lot. Well, there you go. Not telling me how it forms in the earth though. I'll have to look that up. But most of them are crystals that do it. So it's the crystal content in the rocks that will make it fluoresce. So if you got fluorine, fluoride, sodalite, you have crystals of corundum like rubies, sapphires. You can get that. One of the ways you can check a real diamond versus a synthetic diamond is with X-ray. So for some reason, we don't quite know the properties why, a real diamond fluoresces under X-ray, but a lab-created diamond does not. And the minute someone creates a lab-created diamond that does fluoresce under X-ray, my guess is that they'll never tell anybody, and they'll sell them as natural diamonds, and they'll corner the market. That's a feeling I have. Peachy Sunday. Houston, what do I do if I'm Natalie? Oh, he asked this question already. He asked this question, Peachy Sunday. He asked this on Wednesday. As far as I'm concerned, if you're in love with a married person, even if they're unhappily married, stay back. Treat it as unrequited love, unless they themselves decide to like cut the cord and move on. You never want to be. Don't be the other man in that situation. Like I said, I was accidentally the other man in that situation before. I did not know. I did not know she had a dude. I didn't know that when we met, she took off her engagement ring. I had no idea. And so we started dating only to find out that like she was engaged. And that whole thing got ruined all from my part, my side, her side, his side. It was a mess. And I just let it be until you're certain there's a clean break there. That's my advice. Yeah. Okay. Ron Johnson, I live in Minnesota and it's freezing cold working outside. Why does my knit cap rotate around my head clockwise throughout the night? I'm currently working and it's minus 8 degrees. It rotates because people have spirals that their follicles follow. So mine rotates, you can see because of the way my hair is combed, it does a spiral this way. So if I ever shave my head, you'd see my hair do a crazy spiral. It even follows my beard. My beard follows a spiral too from a central point around my nose. And it twists this way, like. So as you go along, your hat slowly follows that spiral and twists all night long. It's very weird and can be very annoying, especially if you're wearing a knit cap or something, and your head will slowly like rotate. But that's why it twists. Likewise, belly button lint is the product of your belly hair. So you shave your belly hair, you'll no longer get belly button lint. And what happens is most people's like tummy hair is in a spiral, and it works everything in towards your belly button as the day goes on. So as you're walking along and your shirt's jiggling or whatever, it's slowly like ticking that thing along like a gold spiral wheel and working that belly button lint into your belly button. Absolutely crazy. You don't believe me? Get a nice hairy belly. Wear some linty cotton shirts and see how much belly button lint you collect. Shave your belly. You don't have to do it with a rusty razor like a pirate. But if you shave your belly, you will no longer have belly button lint. Crazy. It's all because that belly button hair technically is in a spiral. BTB brand Ron, go out into the 60 mile per hour wind, minus 60 wind chill. Yeah, do it, Ron. BOFH, Houston, I hope I'm not the only one who's going to exploit the hell out of Fidelity's 500% price limit on limit orders. I want to exploit it, but right now the price of everything isn't high enough for me to truly exploit it yet. I wish that all brokerages could let you set anything to like $1,000. Doesn't matter what the stock is. You can set it to $1,000 if you want to. Who cares? And then maybe you could do the 500% after the price gets to $1,000 or above. But sometimes let's just list it for 1,000. See what happens. See what happens. On the opposite side, right? Every once in a while, you'll see something like a share of Berkshire Hathaway sell for $4,000 or $40,000 or whatever, because it's a stock that trades at 400,000. Someone put in a limit order and they left off a zero, right? And so if you put in a purchase order that's missing a zero, then you may accidentally buy someone's stock and they go, no, because they were being careless and you picked up on it. And every so often you can watch the chart and it's like 400,000, 400,000, whoop, 40,000, 400,000, 400,000, whoop, 40,000 over the course of several weeks. Pretty neat, man. It's good on you if you can get one of those. It's like the old stories about, the broken-hearted old lady who's like man left or whatever, and then she sells this classic car for $1 to some high school kid, and he gets like a cherry Plymouth Barracuda or something. Stuff happens. Oh, and there goes the reset of the chat. Gotta go back. BOFH is talking about something. Where were you? Where were you? I lost it. BOFH, fun fact, Fidelity has a trading app for Windows PCs, and in that app are these things called conditional orders. I've always used the website. I didn't even know they had an app for the Windows computer. I should probably just download that. Probably easier to use than the website, but my guess. Huh. BOFH, and the conditional orders is if price of X stock hits Y, price limit order at Z. I like that. That's a if then else command that seems like it should work pretty well. I'm going to download the Fidelity app and tinker with that. I like that. Okay. Okay. Ron Johnson, some of us at work were speculating that the relative silence from FINRA and the brokers keeping the placeholders active, that trading will be granted. Opinions. I think it's because they know they don't have a strong footing in a lawsuit. And they're going to be required to not change or touch anything. And so that's why if you call FINRA and you ask them about MMTLP, they go, I'm going to hang up on you now. Because they can't give any fodder towards the lawsuit. They just got to zip it shut. Because it's sitting in federal court. And yes, Rosa is a young attorney without the most experience in the world, but she's not wrong. And any judge worth their salt who will actually read through the documentation and get to know the story will be like, oh yeah, this is messed up. Right? I mean, you can explain the situation to pretty much anyone, and only the worst shills will be like, they're right to close it. And those people don't have any friends anyway. So why would you listen to them? And like the few that were touting that stuff, like Dave Lauer was like, FINRA was right. And after talking to me and after talking to Rosa, he was like, oh, I get it now. No, FINRA wasn't right. So that's doesn't take much to make people go, oh yeah, this is a messed up system. Does not seem like they did that in good faith. So FINRA's argument is totally weak. Their argument is basically, what we did to help you. And when we're like, no, you hurt us, they're like, you can't do anything about it. Only the SEC can. It's like, okay, so you didn't do it right, but we can't point it out. The SEC has to point it out. And if the SEC doesn't bother pointing it out, then you got away with it. And FINRA basically like, yeah, that's the cusp of their entire argument. Didn't FINRA tweet today? FINRA did tweet today. Their first tweet since December 20th, somewhere on there. Kevin Rayonen, happy Friday, Houston. Any thoughts on HSBC not making their interest payments to DTCC? I had not heard about that. Hong Kong Shanghai Bank, one of the greatest money laundering banks in the entire world, was created to facilitate the profits from the opium trade from China and Hong Kong out to the UK and launder a boatload of dollars for the cartels in Mexico. HSBC. I'm not seeing anything about it. Kevin, I don't see anything. If you have an article, by all means, send it to me or post it in the Reddit. I'm not seeing anything pop up about it at the moment when I'm doing a search. Yeah, I got nothing. So I can't respond on that. But they are a bank that I've heard is in a little bit of trouble. Not many people have spoken about it. There was an offer to buy them from someone, because I think they were owned by Lloyd's as a few years ago, but I don't know who, or they're part of some sort of arrangement with Lloyd's. Who owns HSBC? Hong Kong Shanghai Bank, which we're a founding member of the HSBC Group, established blah 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 blah. Founder Thomas Sutherland, Netherlands. Is this currently independent? Okay. Looks like they're currently independent, so I thought there was someone who was trying to buy them. Or was like pity buying them or something. That's 2013. Brexit. Oh, Brexit cost them $300 million in legal and relocation fees. All right. No, they're totally independent. Why do I think? Huh. All right. Well, I was totally wrong about that. Wait, that's all I have to do. I'm gonna go here. Okay. BW brand HSBC has been pure garbage for decades now. That can burn to the ground. They are like one of the most flagrantly criminal of the banks. There was a fantastic, I think it was like 60 Minutes, did like an entire hour on the money laundering HSBC was doing for the Sinaloa cartel. We're talking like they set up entire bank branches close to the homes of cartel leaders so they could like take dump trucks of cash and dump it into their loading bays so they could like feed it into the system. Pretty incredible. BOFH can't be the only one who's hoping Meta Facebook dies and Zuckerberg goes bankrupt. Here's what I would love. I would love Facebook to be so distressed that Tom from MySpace buys them for a song. That's what I want. I miss Tom. The guy was offered $500 million by News Corp. That's Fox. What's his butts? Big corporation, and he took it, and he's been living his best life ever since. Travels the world, sits on beaches, goes hiking. He just seems to be living his best life. And then News Corp took that company and immediately ran it into the ground, got overtaken by Facebook, and that's it. And it's been sold. And that's not owned by like some dude. Who bought it? Someone bought it for pennies. MySpace ownership. So Time bought it in 2016 for 87 million. Viant Technology bought it for, okay, who owns it now? All right. So Tom Anderson sold it for 500 million. Skip Town. Who got it? MySpace domain is originally owned by Yorzy.com. And then that vanished. Purchased by News Corp and Peak Year. So News Corp bought it for 580 million. And then they beat out Viacom for trying to buy it. And when they sell it. Declined. Sales by News Corp in 2016. And then Time Incorporated bought it. And then Meredith Corporation bought it from them. Whoever they are. Yeah. So Time got liquidated, and then Meredith Corporation wanted to sell most of Time stuff, and then they still have this specific media. So, how? Man, big corporations really know how to run stuff, don't they? Yep. So I looked. I went in there a couple months ago. I still have a page. Yeah, all the pictures are deleted because apparently there was some server that crashed and deleted everyone's pictures. Well, there is a page. There's no way to update your bio and no way to load a new picture. And I tried posting something to my timeline and nothing ever posted. So the page exists. It's there. It's frozen in time from whenever they lost everyone's pictures. And then that's all there is. Nothing else to it. Mark Kilpatrick, the Chinese balloon is carrying the latest strain of COVID. What I love is it looks like they took a satellite that they couldn't launch into space because maybe it cost too much money, and they just stuck it on a weather balloon and went, fly. That balloon's just chilling out. A lot of people are like, shoot it down, shoot it down. There's a reason why the U-2 and the SR-71 were so successful was because they were so high up, 80 to 100,000 feet up, that there was essentially no way to shoot them down. Like, to build something that could shoot them down would be so prohibitively expensive. They just threw up your arms and went, well, I guess they're getting pictures of everything. And so throwing a balloon up there like that is a great poor man's way of having a U-2 spy plane. Like, U-2 can fly wherever it wants. The balloon, you just got to send it up right when the jet stream is doing what you think it's doing, and it will follow that jet stream. So looks like they're looking for a jet stream to take it over Alaska and then over Montana and down through the southeast. And that, my guess is they had meteorologists waiting and went, now, launch it now. And they flowed that balloon up there, got up in the jet stream, and it went. But yeah, you want to shoot something down like that. There really aren't any conventional weapons we have that could do it. I mean, maybe you could get an SR-71 up at 100,000 feet to like poke it with a needle at 3,000 miles an hour. But beyond that, just wait until all the helium's out of the balloon and it drops somewhere. It'd be neat though to like pop the balloon and then have one of those those like the big grabber things that the planes have to catch parachutes. Have one of those get it? Be a pretty cool operation. But what are those things called? Any paratroopers in here? One of those things on the plane. Look like scissors, but it's designed to like catch the cords of a parachute. I don't know, I can't know what it's called. Parachute catcher scissor looking things. Yogi 2012 took my cost basis out of GNS, picked up some HLBZ. Looks like they may be doing crypto divvies soon. Everyone's gonna be doing crypto divvies right now. It's all the rage. Ideas Matter 7707. Hey Houston, Michael Burry's last tweet was sell. Does he mean sell your portfolio? I think he means sell everything. Think about this. At the World Economic Forum a couple weeks ago, they asked all the CEOs, is there a recession coming? And like 80% of them were like, oh, yeah, there's a recession coming. The government seems to be showing up for it. The Fed seems to be talking about it. Everyone globally thinks that there's a giant recession on the way. And yet, all the stocks are flying high right now, which means probably one thing. Those who have it are pumping it as much as they can, and then they're going to dump. And when they do, most everything's coming down. That seems to be what I think is happening right now. SS Minnow Johnson, what do you make of GTII and Carvana? Next major squeeze, GTII went from 80 cents, almost $3 in 10 trading days. Carvana seems to be squeezing a bit. They were a dying company. Prices on used cars were plummeting. But there seems to be like a weird situation right now because loan prices are really high. So people can't buy as much of a car as they wanted to, which means if they're looking for a car, they're not able to afford a new car. So like in 2020, 2021, when used car prices skyrocketed, that was a result of a supply shortage making new cars too expensive and not enough of them. So the new cars weren't available and people needed a car now. They went to the used car market. Used car prices like went up 50% in just a few weeks in the summer of 2021, right? So now, because loan prices are so expensive, because interest rates are so high, people can't get new cars. So now they're having to go into the used car market again to get used cars, and used car prices are starting to spike all over again. That seems to be what's happening here, is that when people can't get the new cars because they can't afford them, they're jumping into the used car market, causing used car market prices to go up again. Hi, Monkey. Are you upset the cat's in your spot? You know, you had every opportunity to take the spot. You did. Don't look at me just wag your tail like I'm going to do something. I'm not going to do anything about it. You have to do it yourself. Yes, you do. So Carvana, everyone's like, oh, Carvana's going to die. But now people are buying used cars again. So Carvana might be in a squeeze. They were hit hard. And one of the reasons like the Tiger hedge fund was doing so badly was that they had a huge investment in Carvana. So they might actually, like, if they didn't dump their holdings, they might come out on top of this if there is a squeeze. So, Monkey, you can do it yourself. Yes, you can. Sweet little dog with a scratchy face. This cat is so comfy. Don't you want to do something about this cat? Huh? Yeah, look how comfy that cat is. She's just like, do something about it. Do something about it. You want me to do something about it? Do you? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There is no cat in this picture. You blend right in, kitty. BOFH, you live in near Seattle. Isn't it always raining? Yeah, it's winter. Rains constantly. Every day. I mean, most winters, we usually get some sort of like crazy record going where we do like 99 straight days of rain before there's one non-measurable rainy day, and then rains for like another 80 days. That's winter here. The cold gray. Or what do they call it? The wet, big wet dark, something like that. Homer's Ghost. Houston, thoughts on philosophy? Way to narrow it down there, Homer. uh, okay. If you want probably the best book on philosophy you'll ever get, I'm gonna say this, like, you could read all the philosophers you want. You could read from the Chinese, ancient Greeks, whatever, all the way through modern, modern philosophers, Immanuel Kant, whatever. I personally think the best read you'll ever have as a philosophy book is Fritjof Capra's The Turning Point. It's a heavy read. It's a big, thick read. I think I've got his Tao of Physics book. Where are you, Fritjof? Don't I? There's space-time, Lizzo, Math Instinct, Beasley, Brief History of Time. Where are you? Where are you? Economic Geography. Oh, I thought I had you. No, on this shelf. What shelf are you on? Physics. Well, shit. But it does a great job, like, splitting the difference between mechanistic thought and like holistic thought about problem solving, product building, things like that. So like Rene Descartes did his whole "I think, therefore I am," right? I think, therefore I am, therefore I exist. But much of Rene Descartes' mathematics and philosophy led towards this mechanistic form of thought. So we assembly line things. Adam Smith, Wealth of Nations, figuring out the easiest way to manufacture something isn't to have a craftsman. I got to build a chair, so I'm going to cut down the tree. I'm going to mill the wood myself. I'm going to do the spindles for each leg and the chair back, and I'm going to like that takes forever. It might be a very nice product in the end, but it takes forever. So instead, you've got timber guys to cut the trees. You got a lumber mill to cut the wood. You've got individual peoples on a factory line doing nothing but the same spindles over and over and over again, cutting the same chair bottom over and over again. And then you have somebody whose job it is to piece it together on an assembly line. All right, stick the legs in here, goes the next guy, he sticks the back in there, and so on. That mechanistic way of thought is a great method for mass producing things. But it leads to sort of the breakdown of systems in that, let's like say you have a car, the clutch goes out, right? Okay, well the problem is the clutch is out. So you take a new clutch, put it in there, and transmission, it works fine, but then the clutch goes out again. So you have to put another clutch in there. The problem might not be that the clutch is breaking. The problem might be the person driving the car has no idea how to drive a manual transmission, and they're burning out the clutch constantly, right? So you get like this mechanistic way of thinking kind of removes sort of causes to the symptoms. Like we treat the symptoms constantly. So here in the United States, right, you've got your doctor, you have your eye doctor, you have your dentist, you have your psychologist, which are all four of them treat the body, but they treat the body independently of each other. And we know we have physiological connections between different parts of our bodies, but the way we specialize only focuses on one thing. So sometimes we break through the other side. Like a few weeks ago, we talked about that crazy experiment they did with fecal transplants in autistic kids at Arizona State University. And they discovered that you give these kids healthy gut flora, all of a sudden their symptoms of autism disappear. Right? They're not just disappear, like just gone. And a whole bunch of them had no measurable autism anymore, just from having their gut flora fixed. And we've all had like weird days where we're hangry, right? You're really hungry and you just can't focus and you're angry and you're short tempered, or you're like, you've got the hurgly gurglies and you just can't do your job right because your brain isn't working right because your tummy is all burgly and you're farting and diarrheaing, whatever. Like, there is a connection in your body between all the nerve centers that happen and other things that go on and how the brain chemistry works. So anyway, in The Turning Point, Fritjof Capra lays out the case that we need to sort of like Rene Descartes' mechanistic way of thought of how we approach these symptoms and treated the symptoms rather than treating the problem that causes the symptoms. I'm doing a really terrible job of explaining this, but anyway, The Turning Point by Fritjof Capra is a heady read, and I highly recommend it. So, Fritjof Capra. Here we go. So this book here, written probably early '80s, 1984. I recommend it. It's a thick book. It's a really good read, and it'll make your brain look at the world in ways you never thought of before. I do recommend it. It might take a few weeks to like kind of eat through because it throws in physics in there because it's Fritjof Capra is a physics professor. They did a movie. If you want to see like a weird movie, what was it called? Mind Walk, I think it was. It was called Mind Walk. Mind Walk? Mind Walk, yeah. So, I mean, this is Fritjof Capra wrote the screenplay. And so if you want to read the book, you can watch this movie and kind of get a taste of it. It is just three people having a conversation. I think they meet at like the observatory where Tycho Brahe and Johannes Kepler had their observatory in the Netherlands, Denmark. I can't remember which one. And they just happen to be like three strangers, tourists who just happen to meet and have a conversation about science and history and philosophy. But it's interesting. It'll make you think. The book goes much deeper than this, but you get an idea. So, Fritjof Capra, The Turning Point, or you can be lazy and watch a 2-hour movie of three nerds have a conversation. So, there you go. Yeah. Oh, a Capra. I wonder if they're related to Fritjof. Bernd Amadeus Capra. In Austria, production designer known for. Huh. Interesting. How about that? Okay. There you go. Yeah. So there's your book and movie recommendation. Whoa. Hey, did you get the cat off of there? Oh, look at you actually doing your job for yourself. Appleman, are you invested in Revlon? I'm 50K deep and worried. What does the near future hold for the stock since it's now OTC? I had Revlon calls, which the minute they went to the OTC were just worthless. So that was a complete loss on my part. I did not have any stock. Revlon is a really big company in the makeup space. Get rid of these advertisements that are flowing by here. But I don't know when or how they're going to climb out of it. There's still an appeal on that lawsuit where, so their bank accidentally paid off their bonds, like $1 billion in bonds that they had. And the bondholder's like, cool, paid off, I'm out. And the bank went, no. We need that money back. And they sued. The first court case they won, but in New York, there is precedent where if a bill is accidentally paid, it's paid. There's nothing you can do about it. So it's currently an appeal. And if they win that appeal, there's a good chance that Revlon's debt is wiped out, or a good chunk of it, and they could, easily reform again. But it seems like the time scale on it right now is really deep. I don't think there's anything near future that Revlon's gonna overcome in the near future. Monkey. Just if you want the bed, take the bed. Come on. Come on. Come on. Take it. No. Come on. Come on. Take the bed. Come on. Get in. She just wants to mess with the cat. That's all she wants to do. But I don't think in the near term there's anything Revlon will overcome. Had Revlon gotten the first court case to go their way, I don't think they would have been delisted. I think they would have remained on the NASDAQ and been fine. But it's gonna take some doing, man. It's gonna take some doing. Oh, Meow Meow, I missed yours. I'm so sorry. Is time a real thing or is it just perspective? I'm thinking the only moment that exists is now. Am I nuts? I mean, yeah. Because when something has existed, right? Those moments are no more. Can't go back. Can't go experience it again. It's in our memories, for most of us anyway. It's been recorded. There's artifacts that represent it, but only the now exists. You're right. You can think about the future, and you can predict and see how close you are to predicting that future. But the future doesn't exist until it exists. That's where you are. So, now. But not really, because there's a 5-second delay. So I say now, and then I watch myself 5 seconds later, then do it. Actually, it looks like more like a 10-second delay right now. BOFH, I get the feeling the judge knows that this is a lot bigger than anyone thinks, and if he rules correctly, like he must, it's going to cause a financial meltdown, and it will be his ruling that does it. How else to go down as a legend, right? Like, people won't remember the judge who made that ruling, but they will remember the crimes that led up to that ruling. Right? You don't remember the name of the judge in any trial. Maybe what's his face on the Ito or whatever his name was on the O.J. Simpson case. But beyond that, like, just some judge. Some judge went, well, the law is broken, people were injured, got to rule in that favor. Done. Don Caesar shaded I want to short Duke Energy as a hedge against my monthly Duke Energy bill. Bill Coyne, if the Chinese actually did use a 1960 weather balloon, wouldn't it give better information to just hire an American to fly around taking pictures? But then how else would you get a bunch of Americans to freak out? Right? If someone flies around their plane, it's just some dude in a Cessna flying around. But if you fly a weather balloon with a weird satellite looking thing with solar panels attached to it, everyone's going to lose their mind. And they go, oh my God, Sputnik. And that's, that's why you do it. They did it very conspicuously just to make sure we saw it and we freaked out. That is the entire point of it. And make us feel a little impotent because we can't shoot down something that's 100,000 feet up because that technology is really, really expensive, so no one ever bothers developing it. Nil 21981. According to my calculations, AMC will be 30x diluted after the conversion, up to 50x, 57x dilution potential if A sells up to the new float after the reverse split. Why are people voting for this? How can we MOAS? I personally don't think AMC can MOAS. I think that's the potential of AMC to MOAS is gone. Now, AMC Bigums, when he was on Tuesday, he made a good point as to how Adam Aaron can use this to pay off debt and become on solid footing. But it's going to involve so much dilution that the shorts aren't going to have to worry about that anymore. Even if he does it the right way and he sells to retail. But remember, if this thing reverse splits, it becomes a $50 stock. But a lot of people's, purchase price equivalent, what they got in, would be like $300. So they still lost a huge portion, lost 85% or whatever on the value of their stock, and that's not going to help them. They can get their cost average down by buying apes, but you have to buy a boatload to get your cost basis down. And right now, apes was above like $3 today, so the cheapness of ape is starting to approach the price of AMC. So if you didn't get in, a couple months ago, well, it's going to get much more expensive to try and get back on that. And if Adam Aaron doesn't do it the right way and he sells to hedge funds again, then the company's toast. They might pay off their debt, but the hedge funds will put their dudes in there and make them rack up a whole bunch more debt, and they're just going to short it down for $50 all over again. So it's either going to be a solid investment or it's going to be a dead investment. But I don't think the MOAS potential is there anymore. Personally, I think that ship has sailed. They've done too many things to hurt the MOAS of AMC. P. Kumar. Hey, Houston, I have 1,000 GME in my account. Good job. And have an extra $2,000 to invest. Should I put in Acme Parent Company or some other company looking for long-term 20x? You guys are so weird. Sorry, the animals are deciding to fight each other right now. Long-term 20x. I think No Labs has a potential for 20x, 30x, 1000x at some point faster than pretty much anyone else. They are fast tracking. They've released a press release this week that they're fast tracking their FDA approval for their non-invasive glucose monitor. Yeah, the cat's gonna hide from you now. You played too much. The cat's done. And I personally think they're going to be first to market with this glucose monitor, and they'll be $100 billion company. The minute that thing is approved, they're a $100 billion company right off the bat. Every insurance company in America, every hospital system in the world who has a diabetic patient will be purchasing that device. The others may come, but it may take them a year or two to catch up to where No Labs is with their device. So, the stock is, what is No Labs right now? Oops, I can't spell apparently. Bam, bam. No Lab. $1.38. It's $1.38 right now. So that gives them a market cap of 50 million, 60 million. Show me. Market cap is currently 66 million with that. So if they become a $100 billion company, then that's more than 1,000x on the current stock price. So I don't know how long it's going to take, because no one's ever tried to have the FDA approve something like this before, because it's a novel device. But it's something they could probably get done in a year or two. And it sounds like their first human trials went pretty successful, so now they're going to their phase 2 human trials, and there'll be 3 phases before they can face FDA approval. At least 3 phases. So I think No Labs is great long term. Sit on it, forget it, just let the company do their thing. Mark Therian, what do you think about how the market completely shook off bad mega cap earnings and terrible jobs report? Yeah, like Amazon has no cash. Meta is using all their cash to do stock buybacks, right? Google, Meta, Microsoft laying people off by the thousands. Um, Ford Motor Company has like the weakest car sales they've had in 15 years. Uh, the supply chain's garbage. Nothing makes any sense anymore, man. Like, how much terrible news do you need to get before people go, you know what? Maybe being invested in stocks right now isn't the best thing in the entire world. That's probably not the best thing to be in. After just, I think we're just gonna get dog shit earnings reports week in, week out for the next few weeks, and everyone's gonna be like, "Buy." I don't know why. Is it because there's too many people investing and not enough shares of stock out there or something? Are we getting a short squeeze on the entire market because too many people try to invest in stuff and there just aren't enough shares of things out there? I don't know. It's weird. It's weird, man. MS Houston, what's cool to do in Jackson Hole going this summer? Well, if you're in Jackson Hole in the summer, raft, hike, mountain bike, take a gold pan, head out to the hills. There's cool stuff to see in Jackson Hole. Going to Wood River Range. What else is there, Monkey? Summertime, Jackson Hole. Ride some horses. Bust some Broncos. Fly fish. They do like that fly fish championship every year on Jackson Hole. Those are gotta do the outdoor things in Jackson Hole. You can't do any skiing in the summertime, but you can do everything else. Sit in a hot tub, stare at a mountain. That's always a popular one too. Jump in the hole, climb out, repeat. No, Jackson Hole's got some cool land around it. Let's go. Google Earth me. Are we still in Portugal? We are still in Portugal. Okay. Across the ocean. Oop, oop, oop. Jackson Hole. So there's Jackson. This is the Wind River Range, right? There's the Wind Rivers here, I believe. And I mean, you got your skiing. You're skiing all around Jackson. Cool. Got the river here. Is the Madison River? Is Jackson Hole? Is that the Madison that's in Jackson Hole? I can't remember. But go. Seriously, look at these gravel bars. Go and get a sluice box or a gold pan and just play in these gravel bars and look for some gold. See, introduction to rodeo. You can learn how to rodeo. You can also do mobile rock chip repair on your windows out here, apparently. Monkey, leave him alone. It's a raptor center. You can go and learn how to like be a falconer. Check that out. Oh, you guys can't see the picture. There's this white box on your screen shows me a dude with a falcon on his hand. So Teton Grand Raptor Center. So you can it's the Grand Tetons. It's the big boobies. That's where you are. Boom! Just right here on Google Earth, they got cool stuff. You got Adventure Butte, Museum of Wildlife Art. You can look at paintings of bears or something. Jackson Hole Golf and Tennis Club. There's that to do. Teton Village. See, look at those ski runs right there. There's a lot of rich people. There's Dick Cheney's wandering around somewhere over here. But yeah, there's ghost towns. There's also ghost towns up in these hills too. We saw some that were at the edge of, there was Wind Rivers or the Grand Tetons themselves. Maybe down here. Yeah, Atlantic City down here. Some ghost towns. These are some ghost towns down here. Ghost town, Atlantic City. There's an RV park though, with no RVs in it. So you got that. So lots of things you can do out there. Alexander Hakeem, Houston, where are we on the Russian war? Anything new to be aware of? Thanks. Well, Russia is not doing very well. They are losing about 2,000 soldiers a day right now. So what they're doing is they're taking these, what they call the Mobniks, the mobilized soldiers. You know, there's conscription in Russia. You have to go serve in the military for like a year, and then you get out. And when you serve in the Russian military for a year, you're pretty much just dicking around, hoping to get like enough money to pay for an apartment. That's about it. But then you're on this like permanent reserve list, and they can call you up when they need to. So they've mobilized all their veterans, and they don't have enough guns for them. They don't have enough uniforms for them. They're giving them helmets from World War II that are just rusty and broken, and then they're sending them in these waves to go capture positions out in like Bakhmut, and the Ukrainians have an elevated position and just mow these guys down. And then they send another wave and they mow them down. And they're mowing down thousands a day, just taking them out. These dudes just don't have a chance. So while they're doing that, Russia keeps trying to surround Bakhmut with other forces, and they keep getting repelled. So they've not been able to take over that at all. And then Russia's, apparently they claim they're sending tons of soldiers into Belarus, and they're going to go do an invasion. We can bring up a map. Let's bring up a map. Zoom out. Fly back to Europe. Okay. So you got Ukraine, big old Ukraine here. Most of the Russian fighting is happening in the areas that they still hold in eastern Ukraine. They got repelled back to the borders in the north, and they're too scared to come across. They're completely dug in here, and there's no way the Russians are going to be able to invade from the north here. What they've done is they've been ferrying tons of equipment into Belarus, and they claim 500,000 soldiers. Although the open source intelligence guys say that there's no, like, they can find all the soldiers out here because their cell phones keep pinging. There's not anywhere near 500,000 soldiers of pinging happening in Belarus. And this region of the border between Belarus and Ukraine is one of the largest swamps in the world. And it never froze over this year. It's too warm, so it hasn't frozen over. And the few roads that cross the border have been completely dug up by the Ukrainians, and they got heavily fortified positions on those few roads that cross through there. So if Russia is going to try to do a massive offensive into Western Ukraine, they're going to get eviscerated. Like, it will be a bloodbath for the Russians. They don't have enough weapons. They don't have enough soldiers. If they do have 500,000 soldiers, it's probably not actually 500,000 because the Russian generals have a history of lying about how many soldiers are in their battle groups, and then taking the extra pay for themselves. And one of the problems they had in the original Blitzkrieg they did was Putin's like, oh, it says here you have 50,000 soldiers, bring them all. And the Russian general's like, totally, man. Yeah, we've got 50,000 soldiers, and they didn't have enough tankers, like people who operate tanks, to operate the tanks with their infantry. So they'd use all the infantry to operate the tanks, but then they had no surrounding infantry to protect the tanks. And if you don't have that system of infantry and armored cavalry, it fails. And so the tanks just got blown up by javelins and NLAWs and stuff, the anti-tank guided missiles. And they lost a huge portion of their young officers. So the young officers got blown up in these tanks, so they'd use the officers to operate the tanks because they didn't have enough soldiers to operate the tanks and be infantry, and it just was a mess. So there's a complete dearth of communication that happens on the battlefield. Um, the Russian, it's one of the silliest things. So the modern Russian scrambled channels, the secure channels that they had, required 4G or higher cell phone communications. And when they invaded into eastern Ukraine in February last year, they destroyed all the cell phone towers that had 4G, and all of a sudden they weren't encrypted anymore. So they had to use open channels on 2G that the Ukrainians could listen into and know exactly what's going on. Also, because their encryption kept failing, they would have to send the generals deep into Ukrainian territory to relay messages to the soldiers on the ground, and then they would snipe the generals, and the general would die. So they were killing a general like every 4.5 days for a period for like 6 months. Imagine what would happen to the U.S. military if the U.S. military lost a general every 4.5 days. There would be a complete collapse of leadership. And that's what the Russians were experiencing for a large portion. It's not to say that the Ukrainians haven't had huge losses themselves. They're up against just a massive amount of weaponry. But the amount of soldiers Russia would need to take over Ukraine, I don't think there's enough people in Russia to do it. They've lost 15 million young men have fled the country. 15 million because they don't want to get conscripted. So there's a giant drain on the workforce. There's a giant brain drain. There's a just it and the there's talk now about mobilizing women and just sending women out there to be cannon fodder at this point. It's not looking good. I don't think Russia stands a very good chance of coming out of this not completely obliterated. If you're to look at Russia as a whole, right? East of the Ural Mountains, out here, this is lots of tribes who aren't Russian, and with some Russian families that were sent out here to try and like Russify these things. But a lot of them, they more identify as like Kazakhs or Turkmen or Mongolian, whatever, and they don't really care who is in charge. They're like, who cares? I'm a nomad. I live off the land. And China sees all the energy wealth that's in here. I think China goes, a weak Putin means strong China's ability to get oil and gas. So I wouldn't doubt if when Putin fails with this potential massive invasion of Western Ukraine, that China just sort of moves in. They might not officially take over, but they can't take over. I think that might be kind of what happens there. But anyway, Ukraine's a mess, and the types of tanks that we're sending over there are going to be used as offensive weapons. And I think once they get trained on those, they're going to be taking over. They're going to be going in and taking back the reclaimed territories, and they'll probably do an assault on Crimea. Now, there's reports that so this whole region here, they got Crimea is this guy here, but this whole region here is largely controlled by Russians still. But there are reports that like out on these spits, the Ukrainians have sent commandos in here, and they're slowly working their way in, doing strikes against what are not fortified positions by Russians at all. And then they keep bringing materials in and whatnot. You have partisans, like there's a car bomb in eastern Ukraine today that killed a police officer that was collaborating with the Russians. So there's some dirty guerrilla fighting going on that's undermining the power structures for a lot of those places. I highly recommend the open source guys, open source intelligence people on Twitter are incredible. Like the things they're able to ferret out. And a lot of these guys they speak Russian and Ukrainian, so they're on like the Telegram channels. They're seeing the soldiers communicate with each other. They've got access to cell phone data and satellite photos they paid for. They do some really, really cool things, and they're on it like all day long. I don't know how these guys make their living, nerding on the internet like this. A lot of them are like former CIA guys that might work for security services. But the open source intelligence has been incredible in this war. Absolutely fascinating. I highly recommend checking them out on Twitter and other spaces. Are you done messing with the cat monkey? Okay, I totally missed a super chat somewhere in here, I think. Did I? Yes, I did. Meow meow. Random fact. Tupac had to get an emergency operation on his caboose after an attack in prison. Really? Well, Tupac was a ballerina. I people know that. I mean, he was a dancer. People knew him as like a dancer for Digital Underground, which I thought was amazing. But he was a classically trained ballerina. And which, like thug gangster rapper ballerina is really a weird juxtaposition. But hey, his mom was an original Black Panther, and it's got just a crazy history. Personally, I think Biggie was a better rapper. I don't really like Tupac's raps. I just don't think they're they never really seem that catchy to me. I thought Digital Underground was a catchier rap group. I get a lot of flack for that whenever I say it, but Tupac kind of bored me. He had crazy life, but his rap just kind of boring. Retail collective education on stocks / crypto. Keep an eye on Ader this week. Look at options flow. Ader again. I have Ader on my watch list from the last time everyone said it was going to go nuts and then nothing happened. Do I still have Ader in here? Eagle be big. Ader. Well, got up to $1.62 today. It's been a long time since they're at $43. That was February 01. And it's been mostly downhill since then. Where'd you bottom out? You bottom out at like buck. $1.01, $1.03. Yeah. But they're up 50% since December. So there you go. John Choi, does anyone know MMTLP news or rumor? There's nothing happening. Not until a judge somewhere makes a ruling of some kind. We're all just sort of in a holding pattern, just waiting for permission to land or to take off, one or the other, whichever way we're going. Meow meow. Ever hear of Fred Hampton? Chicago cops killed him for trying to get little black kids proper education. Yeah. The Chicago cops are really good at that. There was, who was the young guy, 17-year-old that was working with the Black Panthers. And building caught fire. He came out of the building unarmed, and the cops, what was his name? The cops gunned him down. Can't remember his name. But, I mean, the U.S. government blew up an entire city block in Philadelphia. Just blew it, just dropped a bomb on them. Like, we blew up our own city block to try and kill off the Black Panthers. And, whatever your politics might be, that's not how you deal with it. Like that is a crime. That is murder of your own citizens. But it worked. It killed off the Black Panther movement for sure. And then they just pumped the inner cities full of crack cocaine and guns, and they went, there you go. Everything's falling apart now. And you decimated the local population by, removing the urban industrial sector, so that these people no longer had jobs and livelihoods. That's probably one of the biggest things that biggest crimes America did was deindustrializing our cities where all these folks had lived or making livings and strides. And then we took all that tooling, we sent it off to China, and now we got to detool China so that they can't make everything anymore because they're all getting all like rattling their sabers. So what will happen in China if all of a sudden we don't buy anything from them anymore because we start retooling America and other places to build this stuff? I think it's going to be kind of weird and interesting. Hi, kitty. Cat is like, don't, just leave me alone, dog. He's like hugging the wall right now. Like, I am so uncomfortable. Kitty cat. Hey, buddy. Come up. Not you. I don't care about you, dog. I'm talking to the cat. Yeah. Come on up here. Not you. Again, not you. Not you. You. Enjoy your bed. You fought hard for it. Monkey. Get in there. Get in there. Come on. Get in there. Go. 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 There you go. All right. See? That's your bed. You're all ready to go. Leave the cat alone. Do I see you? Look at the cat. Don't look at the cat. Leave the cat alone. Kitty, come here. Come on. There you go. All right. See? Kitty! All right. You want me to move this so you can sleep there? There you go. Okay. Cat's cool. Calm, cool, and collected. Okay. All right. We got conversations. Sean Vasquez, per Mr. Donahue, George Adam Aaron gave Antera Ape at 58 cents. Now Antera up $500 million. How did that help AMC or retail investors? Is this a fact? I mean, it's at $3. So it's we're already at almost six times the price of what they paid for. And they paid what, 100 million bucks? So I think 500 million is lowballing it. They're up a lot. And they'll be up $1 billion probably by the time it's all said and done, because that 58 cents a share that they had would be worth $5-6. So yeah, so they'll be up $1 billion. And our hope is they don't sell it and then short it all down. But they've already lent almost all of it out. The number of ape shares that hit the available to borrow spiked. 50, 100 million shares became available suddenly. So that's all being lent out. People are paying interest rates to Antera about it. They just can't sell for 90 days, which happens to be right around the time the vote's supposed to happen. So they could vote and then immediately just sell everything. And if they do, then Adam Aaron, is going to try and sell shares, and then they're fighting the shares being sold by Antera and others. How many splits are there in AMC and Ape? It'll be one reverse split. So they're going to take AMC and Ape, merge them 1-to-1. So one Ape share will become one AMC. And then when they get all those shares all merged, then it's 10-to-1. So if you have 10 shares, bing, becomes one. That's what's happening. BW Brand, Houston. Why are all the rocks I've ever seen come out of a volcano look like black, crunchy, burnt garbage, and all the stuff in the ground looks so pretty? Because there's three ways volcanoes make rocks, really. You got the stuff that goes and splatters outwards. It's cinder and ash, crunchy, brittle, whatever. You have flows, and those flows break into the kind of two kinds, where you've got which are broken, crumbly, hot rocks that kind of get pushed like a bulldozer, and pahoehoe, which is the soupy, fluid, less viscous material. That stuff solidifies pretty solid, but both and pahoehoe have a lot of nucleation of gases inside that happens. So you get these like little pukas, these little holes that form, so they're not as strong. The third way that volcanoes make rock is plutons. So magma comes up. Not all the magma erupts, but a lot of that magma is still trapped inside chambers down below and solidifies. And that rock is really, really dense. The gases don't come out of it, so there's no little holes in it. It's really strong. So things like granite. Granite is that type of rock. So if you go look at Yosemite and you see like the big giant granite rocks, that's a big giant batholith of magma that came up from deep inside the earth and never got to erupt. It just kind of froze in place over millions of years, and then uplift happened, and continents smashed into each other, and that rock got pushed upwards, and a whole bunch of the material on top got worn down, and then exposed all of that granite. So there's a few ways that those volcanoes make rocks. So the stuff that gets spit out at the cinder cone, that stuff is crumbly little garbage. That stuff you put in your garden or whatever. And then the lava rock that's from a flow is annoying and in the way. But the really pretty, really hard rock that can be used for lots of stuff is the stuff that freezes in the ground over a period of thousands or millions of years. Okay, where was I? I was right there. Okay. BB Brand reminds me of the man with the world's largest belly button lint collection. It was like 3 pint jars. That's a man with a very hairy belly who wears a lot of fluffy sweaters, be my guess. MMTLP cuts the holes in his belly buttons in his shirts. Brilliant. Little window dressing for everybody. Angela Torrones. Houston, I've basically been on one long drunken bender since we got screwed out of MMTLP. What have I missed since then? Any updates? The updates we have is we're waiting for court, waiting for the judge to do something. And we're going, judge, do something. There's Rosa will probably file again. I texted her on a Wednesday. We texted back and forth a bit. She's busy. She is just crazy busy. She's got all her work. She's got to do regular work. She's trying to cram and study for the Texas bar exam so she can pass that bar exam and practice law in Texas as well. Because there's a large Muslim population in Texas, and she kind of specializes volunteering to do estate planning for Muslims, because there's certain rules in Islam where like you can't charge interest rates and stuff like that. So they want to make sure if someone's doing estate planning that they follow the tenets of their faith. So she's hoping to be able to spend time volunteering in Texas doing that for the communities there. She's got to pass the Texas bar exam to do that, and the bar exam is something that is held like every 6 months. So she has that set time. She's got to do it. She's got to study, and she also has to file her response to the response to her response. And in that, it sounds like she'll likely point out that FINRA lied in their responses, largely focused on the fact that they kept claiming that they deleted the ticker, and they've never deleted the ticker. Like, we can't do anything, Your Honor. The ticker's been deleted. We just can't do it. And she's going to point out that, no, the ticker still exists. You never issued a D1 deletion order. That's why it's still there. That's why I can search it, and it pops up on the internet still, because the ticker is still there. You lied to the court, and I want sanctions. So that's what it sounds like she's going to be doing. So she's going to be focusing on that. I just don't know when she could have written it by now. I have no idea when it's going to get submitted. She's just a busy lady. So we're lucky that we have such a type A who will bite off such a large task, but she'll get it done. I got faith in her. MMTLP'd my shorts with your ties to Japan. Any thoughts on the Japanese American internment camps during World War II? Well, MMTLP'd my shorts. If we go back to the maps, bing, fly all the way back to the United States again. Okay, so Executive Order 9066, which was the order interning the Japanese, basically taking all the Japanese on the west coast of the United States and putting them into concentration camps, or internment camps as we call them. They're concentration camps. The first place that order took people from was my community of Bainbridge Island, Washington. Right here. We have the Japanese, the National Memorial for the Japanese internment here in the island, Pritchard Park. This park here, the Bainbridge Island Japanese American Internment Memorial. It is quite a moving structure. Like, if you ever come and visit the island, I highly recommend just take a walk through, and there's a history about it. But they took these people from their homes and they moved them out to the desert because basically racism. So because the Japanese aren't white, they don't blend in with the rest of the mainstream Americans. Be like, oh, look, there's the enemy right there. And so they're easily picked out. We didn't do the same thing with Italians and Germans in World War II. We didn't take them from their homes and put them into camps. But we did that here. And there are a lot of really sad stories. There's a huge Japanese population on the island. The island basically at one time was clear cut and was all strawberry farms. It was just one giant, it was the largest strawberry producer in the entire world. It was, just imagine, all strawberry farms. And most of those farms were owned by Japanese families. And when they got interned, they couldn't, pay their mortgage on their land. The land got foreclosed on. And when they did get out at the end of World War II, there was no home to go back to. They had nothing, right? All their assets were gone. Their bank accounts closed, whatever. There were some good stories, town and country markets. So a little island grocery store right here, town and country market. They opened pre-war, and when the family got interned, there was a local Croatian fisherman family, the Lovriches. So the Nakatas were the Japanese family, and the Lovriches were the Croatian fishermen. And the Lovriches said, hey, we'll watch your store for you during the war. We'll watch it for you, and we'll make sure it still exists. We'll make sure that everything gets paid and everything. And the Nakatas are like, you don't have to do that. And like, no, you're part of our community, and we're going to do that. And so for 4 years, the Lovriches ran the store, made sure everything got done. The employees got paid, the mortgage got paid and everything. And when the Nakatas came back after the war, the Lovriches like, here are the keys. And the Nakatas like, we just giving us this back? I'm like, yeah, it's yours. And so the Nakatas gave them 50% ownership in the grocery store. So the Nakatas and the Lovriches now own the town and country chain. There's like 9 or 10 grocery stores in the area as a result. And it's been running the family ever since. So there's, that rare success. There's a Suimatsu farm, which is up here in the north end of the island. This farm here, the Suimatsu farm, he came back and they managed to like somehow still have the land, but they're like one of the only families that came back other than Nakatas. The Kura family, their land got subdivided and turned into golf courses. So, there it is. But the main reason that the Japanese were interned in World War II was the Kemper family of Bellevue. Now the Kempers, Bellevue, Washington, here, Bellevue Square. This guy right here, Bellevue Square, is a shopping mall. It's one of the first shopping malls in all of America. This was strawberry fields owned by Japanese farmers. And the Kempers kept trying to take the fields from them because they wanted to do this giant development and make a shopping mall. This novel new idea of putting all these shops in one spot. And the Japanese family's like, no, we're fine. And the Kempers are who lobbied the federal government to intern all the Japanese. That's the reason why all the Japanese people were taken from their homes was the Kemper family. And the Kemper family succeeded. The executive order got passed. All the Japanese were taken from their homes and sent out into the desert. to be interned, and the Kempers stole the land from these families and built a shopping mall. So while we were fighting a war on two fronts all over the globe, the Kemper family spent the entire war building a shopping mall on a farm that they stole. You can look up Wikipedia. Look up the timeline of when Bellevue Square Mall was construction started was 1942. Right? We just gotten bombed. We are in the height of the war machine. We're making it illegal to do gold mining because we need stuff for the war effort, and the Kempers are building a shopping mall. They're a bunch of assholes. They also don't want, like, we've got this huge subway system that we're building in the Northwest and Seattle area, and they don't want the subway to come to their Bellevue Square Mall because the subway will bring poor people to their mall. So we can't have that. Oh, gross. We only want like Porsches in our parking lot. Fuck you guys. They're a bunch of assholes. Just assholes for generations. And Freeman Kemper, the third or whatever he is, the current guy, is just a dick. So, yeah, screw you, Kempers. Bunch of racist turds. But anyway, so learning about the Japanese internment is a huge part of our curriculum in school because this is the first place that they were taken from. A lot of them ended up at Manzanar and then were moved to, oh crap, I can't remember all the camps they got moved to. But there are a lot of Bainbridge people who were in those, Kitty photographer, tell me. Famous photographer, did landscapes and then took pictures during the Depression. Oh my gosh, I can't remember. What is the kitty? No. Landscapes. Why isn't he popping up? Why every single night I try to do not Dorothea Lange. Crap. I forget. But anyway, a lot of Bainbridge residents got photographed in there. Also, our newspaper, the Bainbridge Review, which now is just garbage because it got bought up by big companies and destroyed. But the Bainbridge Review and the Woodward family, who ran the Bainbridge Review, Walt Woodward was the editor, was the only newspaper in the entire country to come out against the Japanese internment. They said this is wrong, and they ran editorials every day saying it's wrong. These people are members of our community. They are not the enemy. This is racist. This is wrong. And what he did is he hired people that were interned to be reporters and to basically send news stories back. And so there was entire sections in our local newspaper that were about what was happening in the internment camps amongst the friends and family who were interned there. So we got updates about, basketball games that they would be playing and, quilts that were being made and stuff like that. So there was some sort of connection that was happening. And Walt Woodward, we ended up naming our middle school after him. So there you go. There's a brief history of Japanese internment from my little home island of Bainbridge Island. Yeah, it's. I think the quote at the memorial is "Never let it happen again." So, yeah, don't do that. Okay. All right, I am like an hour and 20 minutes behind, and I've got 10 more minutes of ability left. So if I'm missing your chats in the middle, I apologize. I'm going to scroll down, see what's down here at the bottom, go over those for the last few minutes, and let's see here. All right. Kitty cat. Kitty cat. There, kitty cam. Right, kitty? Yeah. Triple Batman cam. Bat cam. Al Bianchi probably already answered this, but I have 1,400 AMC. Should I sell and buy 2,800 Ape more shares for the merge? I mean, you might want to weigh your tax basis, but right now you'll probably like ignoring taxes probably come out on top, having 2,800 Ape versus 1,400 AMC, because they're going to be worth 1-to-1. So whatever your AMC is, you're going to have 1-to-1 anyway. So you may as well have it be an Ape because you'll end up with AMC again. So that's yeah. Paul Engelbrecht Houston with the next shiny object. Lost respect with this one. What? What are you even talking? Next shiny? What next shiny object? Sometimes people make comments and I have no idea what it's in relation to. Next shiny object? Did I talk about any shiny objects? Kitty, did I talk about shiny objects? I don't think I talked about any shiny objects. I talked about some fluorescing objects at the beginning of the show. Anastasio Grigo. Is the universe a hologram? No. I don't think so. Houston, are we a dream? If it's a dream I made up, then you are the thing of nightmares. Okay. All right, cat. You done being lap cat? Put it back on the monkey cam. There we go. Everyone get a monkey butt. Nope. Nope. Cat's got to rub his head again. No, we're putting that back, kitty. Put it back. Put it back. Kitty. Put it back. All right. Put it back. The cat just cannot let it remain. Leave it on the monkey butt. Leave it there. Nope. Nope. Shall not. DSA sports consultant Houston, what's your thoughts on the squeeze talk on AMC that supposedly might happen next week? Well, the cost to borrow has gone through the roof. It's like 1,000% right now on AMC. It did that last fall after it had its run to 20 whatever dollars, and it did nothing happened. Cost to borrow came right back down, and now it's climbing again. I don't know, man. A whole bunch of dupes expired. There might be some potential for it to go again, but the thing is that it seems like the basket for all of these meme stocks are all the dupes expired, and they're all kind of coiled to like pop again as covering has to happen. So I don't think it's just particular to AMC. I think it's going to happen on a whole bunch of the meme stocks that ran in January, February 2021. And I think we're just looking at that coiling. I feel like I have an eyelash falling into my eyeball right now, and it hurts. Stop it. Why is that the design for our eyes to have these things fall into them all the time? Okay. Yeah. Anastasio, universe isn't a hologram. There's all sorts of sci-fi things, and string theorists will say things like, "Oh, it's just a hologram." A hologram's a hologram. The universe is made up of matter. I'm touching it. It's making sound right now. Clickety clack, clickety clack. I can It's like matter all day long. Holograms, fingers run right through it. That's the best explanation I got. B2B brand, the only big cities you've been in are Tallahassee, Houston, and Charlotte? We gotta get you traveling some more there, BTW. There's so many more places to see than Tallahassee, Houston, and Charlotte. Gotta get you out there. BW brand, all those words for lava seemed Hawaiian. Yeah, a'a and pahoihoi are Hawaiian words. There's a lot of, and puka. Puka is a Hawaiian word as well. So puka means like hole or cave or indention. Like a bowl has a puka in it because there's a little indention. So a'a is the sound you make when you step on a'a lava. We can show you pictures. Gotta turn off that. Go back to that one. There we go. Lava. So images. So lava when it's flowing is like big hunky burbly chunks of rock, and when it freezes, it makes these chunks. These like the brown ones here. What's around is pahoihoi, which is a smooth lava. Here's lava. So it's the sound you make when you walk on it. You go ah 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 ah. It's really sharp and will cut your feet up like nobody's business. And then the smooth stuff is pahoihoi. So pahoihoi. This is the stuff that flows, has more of a laminar flow to it. And the weird thing is that we've been scientists have been trying to figure out for hundreds of years why some flows do ah and some flows do pahoihoi. Because then they can switch between the two. It could be a nice flowy lava flow doing pahoihoi, just flowing along just fine. Then all of a sudden it goes, I'm gonna like be tumbly hot rocks, and then turns into a pahoihoi flow again. It's the weirdest thing, and no one quite knows why. They thought it might be gas levels, temperatures, steepness of the hill, and they cannot figure it out. Anyone who does figure it out will definitely get like PhD and things named after them. But no one knows why at all. Why some is pahoihoi and some is But and I guess there is another kind of lava, which is pillow basalt, and pillow lava happens underwater, so it's a different environment, and basically looks like turds. Makes big old fatty flat turds and little tubes. If you ever watch a pillow lava flow under, look at these big old turds right here. Pillow lava, big old poopy boopies. It looks like a butthole pooping. Let's do pillow lava videos. You guys want to see some pillow lava videos? Okay. This is what pillow lava looks like. This happens underwater because of the flash cooling that happens on the surface, but the inside still stays really hot. So once the pressure builds up, it starts pooping out another turd. But one of the cool things is that there's weird pillow lavas that can form in places like high mountain zones. So in Hawaii, on top of Mauna Kea, there's the adze quarries. And the adze quarries are pretty neat. Go back to Google Earth. Turn on the Google Earth. Okay, if we go to Hawaii. Get out here. There we go. So up on top of Mauna Kea, which is the tallest mountain in Hawaii, almost 14,000 feet. We got Lake Waiau, which is this renty little alpine lake. It's the highest alpine lake in America. It's at 13,040 feet. This tiny little lake right here. and no one knows why the lake is there. No one knows what makes it a lake. Everyone's scared to drill into the soil to find out because it might drain the lake. But anyway, the adze quarries are up here, and during the ice ages, there's actually glaciers that formed on Mauna Kea. There are glaciers up here. They get snowfall in the wintertime, but no snowfall that sticks around all year. But during the ice ages, there were glaciers, and there's glacial moraines. Like this is a glacial moraine right here. The glacier came down, made this indentation where this lake is now, and that's glacial moraine. But there were volcanic action that happened under the glacier and melted some of the glacial ice and then formed pillow basalts. It made these really dense rocks, which were the densest, hardest rocks in the whole Hawaiian Islands. So the ancient Hawaiians had camps up here where they would cut the adze into like axe blades and things like that because it was very dense rock that could chip. And so there's these quarries that were made. And on this hike, you pass by some of the quarries when you go from the road to Lake Waiau. And there's some more quarries down this way. But there are camps that were set up by the ancient Hawaiians, and the people's job was to like chip these rocks and make really sharp blades, and they would ship them out all over the Hawaiian Islands so they could use axe blades to take down trees and stuff. It's pretty cool. And that was pillow basalt that was formed under these glaciers. And it's a special kind of pillow basalt that formed because it wasn't able to outgas like it was in the video we saw where those like poopy turds were coming out in those pillow basalts. Pretty neat. If you do have a chance to ever visit Hawaii, I highly recommend going up and doing a sunset on Mauna Kea, taking a hike out to Lake Waiau when it's still sunny, and doing all those things. I have no idea what it's like with COVID, if they've even started up tours on Saturdays usually. So down here at Onizuka Center for Astronomy, this is the like 9,000 feet or so. This is where the hotel is for the astronomers. They come here and stay here for 24 hours to get acclimated to altitude before we send them up to 14,000 feet where their brains get all bibbly. But you can go to the Onizuka Center. Onizuka is one of the astronauts who died in the Columbia Challenger explosion. And he's from Hawaii. He's from the Big Island. But you come here, go to the Visitors Information Station. Actually, this is that's not the center. The center is this building. This is the Rangers cabins. But here is the Visitors Information Station. And you come, you get some hot chocolate, whatever. Remember, if you go to Hawaii and you're going to 13,000 feet, it's going to be cold. So don't show up in flip-flops and shorts. You want warm pants, socks, boots, warm jacket, sweater, you name it. Because it might be 85 degrees down on the coast, but it can be snowing up top. Anyway, at 9,000 feet, still cold as hell. So, show up, in the day. If you're here on a Saturday, you might be able to follow a train all the way up, four-wheel drive vehicles and go up and do a tour of one of the telescopes. But anyway, on a regular day, come set up, check out what they got in the visitor station, and then drive up. You're required to have four-wheel drive. Head up the top because it's all gravel and dirt and really brutal. Lots of switchbacks. Get all the way up to where the telescopes are. Cool places to hike. Lots of things to see. This is where they want to build a 30-meter telescope out here. Currently, some of the largest telescopes in the world, Keck Telescope, Gemini, are up here. Is that you, Kurt? I can't remember. James Clerk Maxwell, might be you. This is the Hawaii 88. In UK infrared. Yeah, there's a very long baseline array. There's also telescopes up here. Cool stuff to see. But see the sunset, and then once the sunset, get the hell out of there. You gotta head down basically within a few minutes of the sun setting, so that the astronomers can get the telescopes ready and not have your headlights, ruining all their experiments. Then head down, and then when you get down to the visitors information station again, you can do star tours. The college kids who are astronomy majors will be leading tours, point out all the things in the sky. I have a bunch of really cool, very expensive telescopes set up so you can look at Saturn and Jupiter and everything else. Silver Sword's up there. You can check out the Silver Sword habitat. There's actually on the hillside here, just behind the Onizuka Center, there's all sorts of protected silver swords, endemic Hawaiian crazy plants that grow up on the mountain. And the rangers and everyone tell you all about the weird stuff on the mountain, and And you can pick up yourself a "Beware of Invisible Cows" bumper sticker because all the cows are black and they just wander everywhere. So when you're driving down the mountain, you can run them over. One time in a van with my observational astronomy professor, we ran over a pig. And it was one of those, friend Sarah's in the front seat and professor's just talking to her, just talking. She's like, She looks out and like, those like you're trying to warn someone, but words can't come out. And so her face just went, oh, and the whole van went boom, boom, boom. And we ran over just a giant feral pig. And Norman Purvis, our professor, was like, "What the fuck was that?" And the whole front of the car was just like blood. Destroyed the whole front end of the car. It's amazing. Anyway, good times to be had. Lots of learning you can do in Hawaii. Okay. My uncle told me tonight the biggest cattle ranch is on Hawaii, Big On. It was. The Parker Ranch was at one time the biggest cattle ranch in the entire world. So the Parker Ranch was essentially this whole top wiener of the island. About 1 million acres is what it was. They have since, I think it's down to about 400,000 acres. They've since subdivided and sold off and everything else. So it's no longer one of the largest in the world. Like this whole area here, this development is a bunch of like vanity ranches, and very, very rich horse growers and people that have jumping horses and thoroughbreds and things. But there was a law passed in the 90s that stated you could no longer get all your water from catchment. You had to drill a well. And they're at 4,500 feet. And so the deepest water well in the world was drilled from this 4,500 foot elevation all the way down to the freshwater lens that sits just above sea level. So you have ocean water that penetrates across the entire island, and you have this fresh water that will float on top of that sea level. And they have to pump up 4,500 feet to get their fresh water. And there used to be a sign of like King Kamehameha pointing to the silliness that was, the deepest freshwater well in the entire world. Last time I went through here, it looked like they took down that sign pointing to how embarrassing it is. But it's a giant pumping station for like these 10 really rich people homes. So this is all part of Parker Ranch back in the day too. But Parker Ranch, it's really funny. You can see in the satellite here how it goes from brown to green. And it does it right through Waimea Town. As you're driving through, like you look at the hill and it's brown on one side and green on the other. And you'll literally have like a dividing line on the hill, and there'll be one set of cows just being pissed on, just raining. And 50 feet away is another set of cows who are like, "Oh my God, just give me some shade." It's crazy like how delineated the climate zones are. So on the Big Island, there's 11 of 13 possible climate zones. You got, Arctic, tundra, temperate, tropical rainforest, desert, you name it. And all sorts of climate zones in here. It's pretty crazy how the trade winds just make that with these mountains here. All right. Just bonkers. Anyway, enough talk about that. Kitty, you good? It's midnight. I blew past midnight by a long ways because you got me distracted talking about lava and then climate zones and then adds quarries and whatever else. I did not talk about Cohen and Nordstrom yet. You guys want to know freaky? Okay, I'll spend a couple more minutes here. So Ryan Cohen supposedly bought a chunk of Nordstrom today. Of course, Wall Street Journal also said that he bought a chunk of Alibaba and was trying to tell Alibaba what to do. But Nordstrom is a retailer. We all know, heard Nordstrom's department stores, founded here in Seattle. The Nordstrom family are a family that came out of the retailers that benefited from the Klondike Gold Rush. So you had like Eddie Bauer, Nordstrom's, REI. Those are the big ones that came out of outfitting all these guys to go to the Klondike because Canadians required 1 ton of material, and so they had to buy it if they wanted to go. So they would buy it from these groups, and the Nordstroms ended up becoming this kind of high-end chain. Well, the Nordstroms also live on Bainbridge Island. They're down here in the country club and on Beans Bite Road are their homes. So these big mansions that are south facing that can see downtown Seattle and Mount Rainier. These are some very, 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 very expensive homes. They got their pools and their tennis courts and their golf courses and stuff. I mean, this home here is probably, I don't know, $12 million, somewhere around there. Not cheap. They're the Nordstroms live here on the island. Yeah. So there's Bainbridge connection right there. Nordstrom's, pickleball, Japanese internment. There you go. 3 things you need to know about Bainbridge Island. So yeah, so Ryan Cohen apparently is gonna help try to figure out how to turn Nordstrom's around in this digital environment, and while maintaining their flagship stores as well. So there we go. Kitty, that's it for me tonight. Everybody, have a great night. I'll catch you online. I'll probably do tomorrow night, probably do some Twitch. And otherwise, I'll see you on Monday, right? Kitty, that work for you? Monkey butt, that work? Okay. All right, everybody. Have a great night. I'll catch you on the flip side. And one of these. Boyd's Curiosity Shop. You want to start a riot? Under the law, you need at least 3 people.